There he is. There he is. We got Kinney Games here, ladies and gentlemen. Now I just have to unmute him so you can hear him. Now I just got to unmute him. Kinney,
Are we
how are you
good?
doing, man? Appreciate you waiting around there in the green room for a little bit while I got everything set up.
This background is hilarious. I have the stream pulled up, and I love that you got the red and green look
Let's
there.
go.
I
I
feel like
made
that's
it myself.
perfect.
I was, it's funny. Like, I'm so new at YouTube and whatnot that, like, making thumbnails and stuff is not easy for me. But, like, this is kind of, I don't know if you were the first person to do this background, but I'll tell you what, everybody likes to use this background now. It seems to be the glitchy Google API background. So I felt like, why not use it for a teaser and then also get double use out of it as the overlay here. Joe Bruin knows what's up. He's also a YouTuber as well. But Kinney, man, thank you so much for taking the time to come here and do this podcast. Yeah, really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to do this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm excited to do this, to kind of take a trip down memory lane. I've watched a couple of them. Like I watched the one with Vic, watched the one with Dubby. Like all super interesting. The one with Civ was really good with CJ. I was actually there for CJ's live, so like I like what you're doing here. I think it's an interesting concept, and people like talk about themselves, right? So
absolutely,
I could talk about myself all day.
100%. And one thing that I've kind of been amazed by is how approachable the big names in the Madden community are. And I don't know if it's like this in every directory. I'm not sure if I could get Nick Merckx on here. But like in the Madden community, like no matter how big people are, how much success they've had, they seem very willing to sit down and, like you said, talk about themselves, even if it's with a smaller streamer or somebody who's just kind of getting established. So with that being said, let's get into your story a little bit here. Let's tell people a little bit about yourself. Starting right back at the beginning here. So what's your home base? Where are you from originally? Can you?
So I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago. Spent basically my entire life there. High school there. Stayed in Illinois, and I went to Illinois State for university. Graduated from there in 2018, and lived in the city for a couple of years after that with a bunch of buddies from school. Which
Nice.
Big city, Chicago, was awesome, super fun. Started making a little bit of money. Had a good like corporate white collar job right out of college that I really enjoyed for a little bit before it kind of took a turn. But after that, I like changed my life like in the span of like a month, pretty much. After COVID, I started making YouTube videos again, which I hadn't done for a long time. And then I ended up moving to Denver, Colorado, which is where I'm stationed now. Nice. I say where I'm living now.
Yeah.
But Chicago, born and raised. Huge Bears fan.
Nice. Okay, so I'm an NFC North fan myself. You can see I'm in all Vikings gear today, but that doesn't mean that we can't still be friends. We got, the Madden community is full of people who are fans of NFC North teams. As long as we both dislike the Packers, I think we'll find some common ground.
Yeah, man. As long as you're not an Aaron Rodgers fan, we can be friends.
Yeah, absolutely. The sad thing is I have the utmost respect for Aaron Rodgers because of how much he's been able to dominate the division for his time here. And even though like Devontae Adams getting out of the division, I still know that Green Bay is going to be the team to beat just because of the Aaron Rodgers factor. That being said, I do hate him, and I think he's a bit of a weirdo. But but I'll digress on that topic there. So you're a Bears fan. Are you also are you a baseball fan at all? Like, how do you pick in Chicago? How do people pick whether they're a Cubs or a White Sox fan? How does that work?
I think it's kind of like culture and counterculture in a sense. I think most people are probably introduced to the Cubs first, but I think people will kind of diverge. Like my roommate, one of my best friends, he's a huge Sox fan. He has been his entire life. But I feel like the Sox in the Chicago, like even just like White Sox attire people wear, it's like a cultural thing of like the counterculture. Like that's what kind of what the White Sox represent. It's like the anti-Cubs almost. Yeah. I was born and raised a Cubs fan. I'll always be a Cubs fan. I'm not a huge baseball guy. Like I played the sport. I like the sport, but it's just hard for me to turn it on and watch it 24/7. But yeah, man, I guess it's like kind of how you're raised a little bit, but then also if you kind of want to go against like the man in a sense, like a lot of people, that's how they kind of find the White Sox. And also when I was growing up, 2005 White Sox World Series had a big impact on that too.
AJ Przinsky, I remember they had wasn't it "Don't Stop Believin'" by Journey was the song that they would always play during that crazy postseason run. Like I'm a little bit older than you are, so I
punched
remember
AJ Przinsky in the face, dude. That was awesome too.
Yeah,
I feel like good times.
That was a scrappy team too. Like I feel like the White Sox in 2005 were like not really. I can't even think of who their biggest star would have been, but they kind of defied the odds to make that run too. Like a team of kind of like the replacements or whatever, and it's always kind of cool when you have a story like that. The MLB's kind of with no salary cap, those storylines are few and far between, so we always like to root for the underdog, I think. But I've actually been to Wrigley Field. It's a beautiful, beautiful stadium. I went to Chicago once I'd been go. My wife and I would always go to New York every single year, and I was like, okay, before we go to New York again, let's try Chicago once. And I was like, yeah, it really does stand up to New York as being like a great city, like beautiful architecture, so much to do. So do you
It's
miss
a
it at all,
gorgeous
or do
city,
you?
man.
How are you enjoying Denver? How was there any culture shock moving over to the Rockies?
I would say like I'm not like city wise, it doesn't stack up to Chicago at all. Like Denver is just, I mean, it's just a weak city when you compare it to like one of the greatest cities in the country
Yeah,
in the world. You know, if not in Chicago. But I like Denver for everything that's outside of the city of Denver. I think
yeah,
so. Like the mountains are just so fun and they're so accessible and they're right there and there's just infinite things to do here.
yeah,
Whereas like in Chicago, like there's a lot of sports and like bars and stuff to go to, but
yeah,
after that, like you have like 3 months a year to go outside, and then the other
yeah,
9 months you're just sheltering indoors because of just brutally cold days. And I
yeah,
kind of just got sick of it. So like I miss the people and like the great friendships that I had back home, because I not only did I grow up there, so all my high school friends are there, but when I went to like an in-state school in Illinois, a
yeah,
lot of people were from the same area where I grew up. So naturally, after graduation, like we all went to the city and we
yeah,
were able to continue those relationships post college. So like I miss those people. I miss my family, some of them
yeah,
that are still there, but I really like Denver because of like I guess like the escapism that it
yeah,
offers. Like if I want to unplug, I can really unplug here. It's not like
yeah,
I just, you know, walk outside my room or bedroom or apartment or whatever, but like I can go deep into the mountains and go on
yeah,
a hike by myself or go camping or fishing or whatever it is, and
yeah.
just like completely get away. And I don't think Chicago really offered that like Denver
Absolutely.
does.
Well, it's funny because I just had the Victionary on here a couple days ago, and he talked about like his one piece of advice that he had was move somewhere else, go try something else new, and the benefits you can have from kind of uprooting yourself and moving into an unfamiliar location. It sounds like you're kind of dealing with the same thing here. And it's interesting you talk so much about nature and the accessibility of it because YouTubers, Twitch streamers, they get the kind of reputation that they don't go outside ever. They're just hanging out in the basement with LED lights around them. But like, how often like do you find that you have enough time in your schedule to get outside and like enjoy nature? Or are you pretty much like hunkered at a computer a good chunk of every day?
No, I make a very distinct effort to do other things besides work. Like, so I worked a
Mm-hmm.
corporate job for 3 years, and I understand what a 9 to 5 looks like. And I've tried to
Mm-hmm.
treat YouTube for the short time that I've been full time on YouTube as that same job, where you wake up in the morning, you kind of do your work, and I'm not like too flexible with it, right? So I'm
Yeah.
not going to let my sleep schedule get screwed up. I'm in bed by pretty much midnight on
Nice.
most weeknights. I'm up by 7 or 8 a.m. trying to do stuff, be productive, and like not be a bum or let myself become a
Yeah.
bum. And I think that's really important for also like the mental health aspect of it. Like if you start having different schedules than everyone around you, then it becomes really tough to keep in good contact with your parents, with your family, with your friends, when everyone's on a different schedule than you are, and then suddenly you just get like way more isolated. So
Yeah.
because of how careful I've been with that, I don't think it's really been a struggle for me to balance that kind of like work life
Yeah.
balance. I don't like that word because I feel like
Yeah.
my work is part of my life, and
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I'm happy about that. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't really have an issue time managing my
Yeah.
time, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's solid. That you're kind of really approaching it from a professional perspective, and also like budgeting time the same way that we all need. If we put in 80 hours a week at a regular white collar job, we would hate it. We'd be miserable. So, yeah, it's important to have that balance for sure. And it's an overused term, the work life balance, but honestly, it's probably the most important thing to avoid burnout, which inevitably will happen if you don't have that kind of balance. And normally I don't take questions from the chat here, but we're having Start and Park Racing in the chat has asked here, what is your favorite Goose Island beer as a Chicagoan? Is that a brewery you're aware of?
Yeah, now it's very international now, but Goose
Yeah,
Island started in Chicago and is very well known for being in Chicago.
yeah, yeah.
And despite the smack talk there, my favorite Goose Island actually is Green Line.
Oh, there you go.
Obviously,
Okay.
312 is like the most well known. That I think you can even get that like
Yeah,
internationally. You can get it everywhere in the U.S., but I do really like Green Line, and like Goose Island IPA is pretty good. I'm not even an IPA guy, but
yeah,
I drink, and you'll see it on my Twitter all the time. I drink Miller Lite 24/7.
yeah,
That's my go-to. So that's pretty Chicago of me, a little bit Milwaukee-ish almost,
yeah.
but I would say yeah, I'm a Miller Lite guy,
There you
like
go.
tried and true.
Nice. Yeah, no, it's funny. We actually have a Goose Island brewery in Toronto too, so it's obviously, like you said, it's become very well known. But it's
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, the next thing I wanted to ask you about, kind of going back again to your roots here, is what was your first kind of video gaming experience? Like, was Madden your first game, or did you play other stuff growing
No.
up? Were you always a video game
Um,
kid?
I was a video game kid. I get absolutely destroyed by my older brothers. I have two older brothers, and they would have some friends come over for like Halo 2 lands.
Oh
That
yeah,
was They were 6 years older than me, so I kind of snuck in to play with them because my mom really didn't want me playing Halo at the time. But
yeah,
that was kind of like my first introduction to it, and I just like fell in love with it immediately. And I think it was kind of the communal aspect of gaming. And this was before I became like a hardcore gamer, but this is
yeah,
just what I thought was so fun to do. Everyone comes over, you do the like very classic, like let's get a bunch of Mountain Dews and chips and all this stuff and just
yeah,
pig out for 24 hours and play Halo 2. And we're on LAN and everyone's bringing their TVs and all this stuff. And
yeah,
it kind of just grew into loving first person shooters in general. Like Halo 3 was the first game I ever dove into. And then once Call of Duty came around, like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 2,
yeah,
I think I have like 60 or 70 days played on Modern Warfare 2. Like it's a disgusting number.
yeah.
Black Ops 2 was an unreal game. That's when I started making YouTube videos, was Modern Warfare 2. Like that's what
Nice.
my friends did in high school.
Yeah.
That's what we did. And
Like,
so it was like we weren't like the partiers. Like our party was having a LAN at someone's house and bringing a bunch of Xboxes and just playing a bunch of video games all night. Like that was me in high
yeah,
school, and I'm fully okay with that. Like I enjoyed every single second of it. And yeah, I like so like not from the beginning was I like a diehard gamer,
yeah.
but I knew I loved video games from the start for sure.
Absolutely, and it's funny that communal feeling of like you said, the LAN games, like having this four-way split screen and like having everybody in the basement like hanging out. It you know it's I kind of wonder because like I have a lot of younger viewers on my channel. I'm sure being on YouTube, you have a lot of younger viewers too, and I wonder if they ever had that same experience. I feel like it's kind of like a with all the how easy it is to hop in a Discord chat or how easy it is to like play online with friends now. Like I feel like that face-to-face gaming aspect is kind of like almost a lost thing at this point. Unless you're going to in-person tournaments and stuff like that. With
Yeah,
COVID,
kinda. I mean, it's definitely more accessible, so
yeah,
that I guess would probably lead to like laziness in a sense of like,
yeah,
not well, why am I going to go over to his house? Like we can just hop in a Discord call.
yeah,
But like, it's just such a different experience when you're there with your buddies doing it.
yeah,
Like as opposed to hopping in a Discord or like if you find a group of your like real life friends, not people that you have met in Twitch chat
yeah,
or whatever online community, like your real life friends, if they have the same interests as you, I'd say there's no reason to not, on a Friday night, go to so and
yeah,
so's house and set up 6 monitors and start
yeah,
playing, man. Like everyone's got portable systems at this point. Like hell yeah,
absolutely.
go do it. Like get the Mountain Dew, get the Doritos, like be that guy because it's
Yeah,
fun. It's so fun.
100%. I definitely would recommend that to anybody out here who hasn't done it yet. Any of the young bucks in the chat. But the next thing I wanted to ask was, what was your first Madden? Like, so you started out making Warzone videos on your YouTube channel, but when did you first buy Madden? Can you remember which one you got?
On PlayStation 2, I think my brothers had gotten, I think maybe Madden 2001.
Oh
Sounds about
wow,
right.
is that like Marshall Falk or
Um,
something on the cover?
I
Or
was
like I can't even
I was
think.
born in '96. I was like 5 years old, so I can't say
Yeah,
like that was my first Madden.
yeah,
But
yeah.
like I definitely got on there and then got torched by my brothers a couple times, I'm sure. I remember playing the one with Vic on the cover. What was that? Oh
2004.
seven,
That was
4?
04,
Okay,
I think, and then 05 was like Ray Lewis. That was my first one, but I played a lot of
okay.
04 with Vic on the cover.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I played with my dad actually. I played whatever the NFL Blitz. I think it was called Blitz.
yeah,
On like the N64, I think that
yeah.
was.
That was a
That was
classic.
one where you could like hit people after the play, kind of like Slugfest, but like a
So good.
very dated version.
Yeah,
And football, like so like I think the first Madden where I really recognized like, oh, I love this game more than just like hopping onto one game, every 3 years with a buddy and playing one was Madden 25.
yeah.
That was when my friends and I started at a LAN actually. We started a CFM,
No
and
way.
so
Awesome.
there's only 8 of us. We like all had one team per division, but that was when I was started looking up YouTube tutorials on like glitch plays and like how can I cheat my friends, and the
Yeah,
stiff arm glitch was huge at one point during Madden 25. It was kind of a run heavy game if I remember correctly.
yeah.
But there's a stiff arm glitch and I started to do it and my friends caught on and they put me in like CFM jail at the time. Like I had to sim a bunch of games because I was caught cheating and all this stuff. Like
Oh my
it
god.
was such a good time. And then that's when I got introduced to Ultimate Team, although I didn't play it religiously enough to like build a good team throughout that year. That was when I started watching like Addy Cards and Cookie Boy on YouTube and Mr. Golden Mutt, like all these guys that were doing Ultimate Team. And I'm like, dang, this is so there's like an actual progression of a game here. It's not just a hop on, play now type of thing. And so I'd say Madden 25 was when I kind of fell in love with it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just noticing in the chat here, TGF Live says, you trying to run a quick game. I think he's talking to you, Kenny. You want to run a quick game right now in the middle of this podcast? Oh, my God.
My language and my response wouldn't be very nice. So my mother told me if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all.
That's smart protocol right there. Okay, so TGF Live, no game right now. We're actually doing a podcast right now, and I got my guy Kenny right here. So we're gonna get through these questions, but I feel like I'm already getting a lot of insight into your Madden experience. And when did because I know, and we'll get into kind of the changes that you've made to your YouTube channel in the last year, because I feel like this year has kind of been like exponential growth for your channel and what you're doing over there. But like, when did you start making these YouTube videos on your own? Like, did you start off like making tip type videos? Did you start off doing like challenges? What was your kind of content when you first started in Madden?
Do you want when I first started in Madden or when I first started on YouTube?
Oh,
those are
let's start
things.
with YouTube. Let's start with YouTube first, and then let's get into Madden. We might as well get the full picture here.
YouTube, my first video on my other channel, I had a channel that I have about 500 videos on. They're all privated before everyone tries to go look it up. But
yeah.
I had about 500 videos on it. I was a huge Call of Duty guy. About 10 years ago was the first video on that channel. And before that, I was making Rock Band videos with one of my friends. And so I've been on the YouTube platform, like making videos off and on with 20 different channels throughout the years for like 12 years, I think.
That's awesome.
So like YouTube, I knew immediately when I started watching YouTube and like finding YouTubers that I enjoyed watching that like this was gonna be it. Like I loved that platform, and then I love video games so much it just kind of made sense to start making videos in our free time. So I got my editing ability from becoming a montage editor back when Call of Duty montages and like trick shot videos, all those things, those were really big. And so like my goal was to like join Optic Gaming at the time, or Optic Nation was the YouTube channel they were uploading on at the time. And I was like part of Team Caliber for a while. I was like their lead editor, quote unquote, as like a 13-year-old kid. I had no idea what I was doing, but it was super fun. And so yeah, like I've just been on and around the YouTube platform for a long time, but I didn't start making Madden videos until I think I made like 5 or 6 of them in Madden 20.
Yeah.
And then I was still working and I didn't enjoy it that much, so I was like, I don't really care. So I would toss up a video every now and then in Madden 20. Yeah. And then Madden 21, I started taking it a little more seriously and like kind of became the coin guy. Like, I tried to put a nice like editing touch or like professional touch on videos that were very simple about like making coins and coin making methods and like sniping. I did this series called Sunday Snipes, which was always super fun. That I snipe cards throughout the week and try to post like the best flips that I had. And and then obviously we progressed into Madden 22, but made a couple in Madden 20, but I've really been on YouTube for a long time.
That's incredible. Like over a decade of experience and going back to your early teenage years, like that really is like you've got more experience combined than the majority of the big guys that are out there in the Madden directory right now, it sounds like. And do you think, are these privated videos ever going to are they ever going to be made public at some point, or are they in the gulag for now for all time? Like, are we going to see Kenny Rock Band videos getting released at some point?
I tweeted one, like my first ever Call of Duty montage that was actually my gameplay footage. I tweeted that out, I want to say like 3 or 4 months ago as like, holy crap, I can't believe what's happening with my channel right now. This is where I started. Yeah. But I don't think those videos will ever go public again.
Yeah.
Just because like I've kind of like closed the yearbook on that in a sense. Like I've valued that time in my life so much and I loved it and I learned so much. And so it was so important and valuable. But yeah, I kind of closed the yearbook on that one.
Well, that kind of brings up another interesting thing, and I was kind of getting this sense from what you've been telling me already about your YouTube experience. But do you kind of look at videos and the experience of making videos and doing the editing and stuff? Do you see a lot of value in the actual process of it, even if a video doesn't necessarily perform the way that you might be looking for it to do, analytically speaking? Like, is there much?
Are you saying like, is it worth your time to make a video even if it gets no views?
I mean, I guess so. When you're starting out, anyways. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, dude. Like, if you love it, do it. Like, I mean, there's a difference in approaching YouTube, trying to make it a business and like really trying to grow a business. And you think of it as almost like a third party entity as your channel, as opposed to like, this is my life. This is my creation. Yeah. But like, if you enjoy doing it, then who gives a damn who watches it or who doesn't watch it?
Yeah.
It's different if you want to approach it and you're looking to really like blow up and really make a career or a job or profession out of it, because then you got to treat it like a business. I think you have to treat it like a business. I also just want to preface, because I'm sure that we're going to go down the alley of like what I think has led to any success that I've had so far, and like
Yes.
there is no single silver bullet for YouTube, and like I don't by any means know everything. In fact, there's so much that I don't know, and there's so much that I still learn literally every single day about YouTube. So like anything that I do say here is just kind of like what I feel like I've learned, but it doesn't mean it's gospel. It doesn't mean it's 100% fact, and it doesn't mean I'm 100% right on it, or that you can't do it a different way. Because like I always try to be conscious of that, because like it can just I think it can seem very pretentious for me to like stand up on a podium and tell you this is what you need to do with YouTube, when I've had a sliver of success here in a what I've now revealed to you was like literally a 12-year career making videos. So it's like I just want to make sure like I can only really talk about my kind of experience with it. And I just want to make that, kind of clear, I guess.
Oh yeah, no, like when I, put it out to you to be on here, I wasn't, hoping for it to turn into a tutorial for up and coming YouTube streamers. Like I feel like anybody that we talk to, if you're on the show, it's because you've had some degree of success, whether on Twitch or YouTube, or whether you've just built a community that's kind of interesting and seems to be gaining some traction. And but at the same time, I feel like everybody has little kind of pearls of wisdom, little nuggets that they can kind of drop, and it might fall on the right ears and make a difference for somebody. Something that you say might really connect with somebody who's in the chat right now. So you never know. Like, but I will say, like, I noticed that a lot of the people that I'm close with, like on from the Madden community, have kind of, they were mentioning your name. Like they're like, oh, have you seen what KINNY's doing over here? Like he's kind of changing the game up. He's having all this success. And I remember a tweet that you put out, and this was probably months ago at this point, but it mentioned this book over here. I don't want to give away if this is like some great secret, but I actually went out and bought this book when I saw your tweet, the YouTube formula, and I read through it.
Yeah, dude, I still got it on my desk. I got it right here.
It's like the Bible. It's like the YouTube Bible here. Look at that, guys. This is paid advertising here. We're not getting a cent from this, but I
yeah,
feel
Daryl,
like,
hook me up. Come on.
Yeah, I feel like though, like reading like the foreword by like Mr. Beast and like seeing the success stories, I feel like you could be a success story in a book like this, like just from like how did it start out where you kind of pivoted what your channel was about? Like how are you feeling early on in the year as opposed to where you're at now?
Bro, I had quit YouTube. I had packed it up and I was done. So when I moved out to Denver, I quit my job and I started what I thought would be like, okay, I'm going to do YouTube as basically half of my job, and then I'm going to do a video production business as the other half. And I started having some success with the video production side, and at the same time, YouTube views absolutely plummeted, like just dropped completely through the ground. And I thought there was just no saving it. It felt like nothing I could do was right. I also really did not like Madden 22. Yeah. Because it was so broken when it came out. Zones didn't work, like nothing. It wasn't even like there's a glitch play. It was like this literally is not coded correctly and it doesn't work and they won't fix it. Yeah. And then they did like the training thing, and then they like wiped everyone's training on that hour and a half loophole at 3 in the morning.
That. Oh god, that
like,
was so good.
There were just so many things that added up at that point, and on top of the fact that like I was literally to a point where I needed to make money to survive and pay my rent. And I was like, okay, I need to follow the money at this point because YouTube is making me none of it. I didn't have a coin deal that was, like the backbone of my income for YouTube. So it was all AdSense, and views plummeted and they didn't look like they were coming back. And I just like, I quit, man. Like I was like, I just can't do this. Like, it's just not meant to be. And also I'm not enjoying the game or making videos on it. So what is honestly the point here when I can make good money doing something that I still do really enjoy, which is video production? So I started getting into like real estate videos. I was making YouTube videos for other creators that are like around Denver, making product videos, just basically anything that I could do with like the professional video equipment that I was doing. And I enjoyed that. And I really liked that. And I feel like some of the like literally the visual quality kind of shows through in some of my videos, because that's part of who I am and that's what I enjoy. And that's why I've been editing in Premiere Pro for 13 years and I'm still okay with it. Like, but I came back because I basically said like, I miss it so much. Like I took that time off. I saw people making videos. Was still watching like religiously. I was still watching Throne. I was still watching RBT. I was still watching all these guys that were posting videos. It's like, man, I miss it. So I came back and I made a couple of videos. I was like, I'll try to do things a little bit different. And they didn't really have much success, but I wasn't expecting much. And then I kind of found Daryl Eves, which he's the author of the YouTube formula. And I think he started to really resonate with me because I have like loathed YouTube gurus for so long. Like, I think there's so many so fake people out there that have no taste of success at all that will try to offer, but they'll be the first person to be like, here's the advice I would give you when they don't know what they're talking about. Because YouTube is so complex. Like, the nitty gritty of YouTube, like the real success, the Mr. Beast of YouTube, like it is so incredibly complex. And I always just thought YouTube gurus and like these know-it-alls were just like so full of it. And then I stumbled across Daryl. I can't remember how, but I really resonated. What he was saying really resonated with me because to me, it wasn't about the hack that's going to get you an extra 10 views or 10 clicks or whatever it is. He just like preached about getting to know your audience and talking to a specific group of people. And you're not making videos for an algorithm. You're making videos for the person that is representing that viewer. Every single view you see is a person. Like, talk to that person. Stop talking to the YouTube algorithm. Stop talking to the fake imaginary number out there that like you just hope will click on the video. Like, there's a person behind it. And I thought, like, he's a marketing guy and came from a marketing background, and that's what marketers do. Like that, those are what that's what ad men do. They try to connect with people, and they do it through advertisements. This is just a different way of doing that. So it made a lot of sense to me. I was like, okay, he's not telling me to do this, say the specific word in my intro so that more people are gonna want to stay to the 4-minute mark. Like, this is a real thing. Like, oh, talk to the person, talk to the viewer, you know? And like, I was like, okay, but I don't know my viewer at all. And so like, if you, I don't know how far you are in the book, but it like forces you to sit down and think about, okay, who's watching my videos and why are they watching my videos?
Yeah.
And I was like, if I'm going to spend, 10 hours editing a video, I at least want it to be something good. And also maybe I should rewind a little bit and stop making videos for me, because if I'm making videos for me, then it's going to have one viewer and that's me.
Yeah.
But if I start making videos for the people that may want to watch it and the target audience, and like, then maybe I can have some hope that other people will start clicking. And so it was really just like learning who might be interested in watching my videos and why, and like asking why do people play Ultimate Team? Why do people play Madden? Why would someone click on my video? What does someone come to YouTube for? And like how often do they play Madden? What time of the day do they play Madden? Like, what time of year do they play Madden? Because I used to be the guy that would hop on once every week, like after I watched the Bears play, and try to recreate it. Like, that's what I enjoyed, So there's like, it's just people like, they just like make videos for this like fake algorithm out there, and they forget to talk to people. And I thought that made the biggest difference, and it just resonated with me so much. And so that's why it led to me starting to pivot my content. And there was a lot more thought about how to pivot that and like what was the best way. And, but that was kind of the crux of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of like a big paradigm shift too, like, because we all think that the algorithm is like all powerful, and don't get me wrong, like the algorithm is like very well thought out and changing.
The algorithm is people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's what people are watching. That's the algorithm.
It's true. Like for me, like I put up like I don't know, like 200 plus videos on my channel, like to small degrees of success, but like I'm happy with where I'm at on there. But I assume because I'm always engaging with Madden, that's what when I go on my recommended videos. But my recommended videos, like, they're so specific to what I like to watch. Like, it's not Madden related for the most part. I rarely get recommended Madden videos. I'll be like getting recommended people reacting to songs. Like, I love watching reaction videos, and like it's incredibly intuitive, like the artificial intelligence that goes into it. Like, because I will literally want to watch everything on that list, and I'm not even a guy who watches a lot of YouTube. So you're right, when you kind of bring in that human aspect to it and build a community, and perfect example, when you kind of promoted this podcast today, like, you had a whole bunch of your community members from YouTube responding to that and thanking you for posting. Like, that's kind of cool that you've been able to make that connection, and as far as I know, you don't live stream on YouTube. It's mostly like videos, right? Like, as far as I understand.
Yeah, I have live streamed in the past, and I have some plans for live streams, very targeted live streams for 23. But awesome. No, I don't necessarily. Not anymore. Do I just like hop on and stream Weekend League kind of thing?
Yeah, well, it seems like you do have that kind of diehard community that like they're going to support whatever you do, whether it's on your channel, whether it's on somebody else's. And how important, like, do you make a lot of use out of that community tab on YouTube? Because I know I think that's something for just partners. Because I don't have access to it right now, but do you
500
use that
subs,
for
I think you get it.
really? Okay, all right, let's
Yeah,
go. I
I
I, I
think
think it's a pretty cool thing, like a way to just have like a message board between you and your community and keep your the pulse of the community a little bit.
Yeah, because I cut the fluff or out of my videos, and so I end up, I'm not a very personality driven guy like your MMGs, right? Like
Yeah.
very personality driven. Um, he's really funny. His humor is great. Like people love that and they connect with him that way through his
Yeah.
videos. And so like I don't really do that. I focus on just like the storyline of whatever topic I'm introducing in that video. And so I cut out a lot of fluff and I lose the chance to kind of build that connection with the people that are
Yeah.
watching. And so in order to get to know them more, I kind of just started asking poll questions of like, are you playing fantasy football this year? Are what's the favorite card that got released this week? How often do you play Madden? How many YouTube videos a day do you watch? And through those polls, like I learn a lot about who they are.
Yeah.
And I kind of treat YouTube as like a bunch of science experiments. Like you make a small tweak and then you test that like and see if your hypothesis was true or false, right? And then you make another small tweak and then you test that and see if it was true or false. And so like I'll kind of make guesses about my audience or think I have an understanding of something, and then I'll put out a poll and I'm way wrong. Perfect example, I put out a poll, when do you typically buy Madden? And almost 50% of respondents on a 4-answer multiple choice said not till Christmas.
Really? That's
So
surprising.
I thought especially the people that were going to answer that poll in July, like the people that still
Yeah.
would care about my content, Madden in July, were the diehards. They're gonna buy Madden 23 as soon as it comes out or pre-order, right? And
Yeah.
50% answered that they buy it on Christmas or they wait for it to come out on EA Play. Like that was like that. Hey, that
That's shocking.
goes
Yeah.
on par with the YouTube views, like, and how it regularly kind of changes. But that was something that like, hey, I was caught off guard, and it's not something that I expected. And yeah, so it's just like it's a great way to connect with people. It's like a Facebook wall in a sense, where like I only post a video, 1 to 2 times a week, so I don't have that everyday connection. I'm not sharing my life all the time, and so I think that the community tab and also stories. I'm not sure when you get stories unlocked on YouTube, but I'm gonna try to do more of those. So I think that's another
Okay.
good way to kind of like I'm not afraid to show my life. I want to show my life. I just don't in my videos because I don't think it works well in that specific video.
Yes.
So I think it's a great kind of opportunity to connect with people a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of that blows my mind, like that poll that you're referring to, because like you said, like yeah, they're responding to a Madden post in July. I initially thought, I'm still very new to realizing that YouTube is literally everybody in the world uses YouTube all the time. Like for me, I was like, I was huge on watching
Billions of
Twitch.
users every day.
Oh, absolutely. Like, so I was like, the only people that are going to watch Madden videos are people who are Madden diehards. That was what my assumption was when I first thought of it. It's like, it's the guys who pre-order the game and then they play it all year, for like at least 11 months, and then they take a month off and then they buy the new game. But apparently not the case. There's a whole big untapped audience of I guess the casuals that you would call it, who are only in the game for maybe a few months at a time, or play a variety of different games throughout the year and cycle through them. But that's really interesting what you brought up, and asking opinions of your community and catering your content to them and not just making it for yourself is definitely a good piece of advice. That I think people should take notice of for sure. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about when you were first, getting like, who are some of the content creators that you look at right now and you like have an admiration for what they're doing or draw inspiration from? Like, are there any? You mentioned Throne, you mentioned MMG. Like, you watch a ton of YouTube. Are you kind of like watching and keeping tabs on everybody in the Madden YouTube community, or do you have favorites?
Yeah, I mean, I edited for MMG for a little bit in Madden 21 for a few months, and so I kind of got to see like his work ethic behind this and his approach to YouTube, and I have just the utmost respect for how he does this and how hard he works, and how much like time and effort he puts into everything that he does. And so I'll always have a lot of respect for him. Honestly, outside the Madden niche, like there's a YouTuber by the name of FutCrunch,
Yeah.
who is just killing it in the FIFA space. He's speaking at Vid Summit, which is one of like Daryl's YouTuber convention that's coming up. So like I'm super excited for that. He actually reached out to me one time and just randomly DM'd me on Twitter. He's like, "Hey man, I like your stuff." I was like, "Holy
No
crap!"
way.
Like,
That's
and
awesome.
it wasn't like star shock of like, "Oh my god, it's FutCrunch," but like
Yeah.
for him to just take the time to do that, just to like, even if he was watching, even if he did like it, to then go on Twitter and DM someone like, "Hey man, like your stuff," like that I think that spoke volumes, you know, and
That's incredible.
it's very easy for people to get like very egotistical in this space, I think, because you get a lot of praise from a lot of different directions and it can
Yeah.
very quickly go to your head.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it before, the Madden community's not like that. And like everyone that I've met, like when I first started, I was doing these Madden rewind videos. They were like video essays. That was what I
Yeah.
like. That was what I wanted to do. And like Xerxes came on, CC came on, like these 100,000 subscriber channels. We're like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll send in a 2-minute video to talk about it. Like Mike Mack was always super nice to me. I always had a ton of respect, and he was a big inspiration for me when I first started Madden videos
Yeah.
because he was doing it different than everyone else. He was making like similar type videos, like, hey, it's No Money Spent series, that kind of thing. But he was really making them like an experience while watching them. Like there was a storyline, there were these hype moments, these memorable moments. Like I can go back and watch a random Madden 20 Mike Mack video and like still enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so he was a huge inspiration for me.
I think you
And
tweeted out a clip of his just the other day
yes,
too. I
that's because
noticed
I was
that.
literally
I was
watching
like,
that episode. Like
yeah.
that's such a memorable moment. Like, and
Yeah.
it's not good YouTube wise, right? Because it's like slow and it's black and white and the music's really slow. And I'm sure a lot of people clicked off during that.
Yeah.
But he took the time to consider, well, what does this do for the storyline of the video? And like, hey, is it worth it to maybe have this slow moment here? Yes, it is. Like that's going to make it a better video. And so for the people that do stick around, they're going to remember it more. They're going to feel something from this. And like, you could tell that he was doing that in his videos. So I don't want to sound like I'm praising too much, but yeah, he was a huge inspiration for me when I started. And like, I just respect the work ethic of a lot of Madden creators that continue to upload all the time and like, don't really take days off. I don't know if it's necessarily the best strategy anymore, but it doesn't mean it's not difficult, and it doesn't mean it doesn't take a ton of time and a ton of effort and a ton of work to do that. And so that's always kind of inspires me, like, because I don't post that often. That doesn't mean I'm not working, but like when I don't feel like working, I think, well, Xerxes working right now. Well, CC's working right now. Well, Maze is working right now. Like all those guys are doing it. RBT's still going. Like, so that kind of also gives me a lot of drive to like push through the woes of sitting at your computer editing for 14 hours in a day.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing, going back to the YouTube formula and Dare Leaves, like he did mention, he gave case studies and examples of like a whole bunch of different channels, like an astronaut who posts maybe one video every month or something like that, and you can have a successful YouTube channel like that, or like
you got Mark Rober, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I'm thinking of the ended up looking up some of these videos because I was like, man, this is incredible. But like, there's no, like you said, there's no playbook. You have to do what works for your schedule. Like if you'd rather put out 2 really well edited videos a week, and that's what your community comes to expect, and you can put in the amount of work to do those stories that you have in your mind justice, as opposed to, and then there's some people who do like news and it's like time sensitive and they need to really hammer it out first, and that's important. But it seems like at least with video game channels on YouTube, there's like ways to do it differently, and I'm trying to find a balance between it. I'm trying to do a little bit of everything right now until I find something that sticks. But yeah, that's definitely interesting.
Listen to your audience, man. What does your audience tell you?
Absolutely. My audience right now tells me play Fall Guys. That's what they tell me. That's what my audience tells me now. But yeah, absolutely.
And what are you doing interviewing me? Get your butt on Fall Guys.
I know, we got to play some Fall Guys. Oh god, I'm so terrible at that game. But so what are your expectations? Like you said you really disliked Madden 22. Like you from a programming perspective, it was a disappointing Madden. That being said, like did you play the beta for Madden 23 at all, or what are your expectations going into next year's game?
This is going to sound so cynical. I've learned to not have expectations with Madden because I've been repeatedly let down over and over and over again. I'm like optimistic. I have hopes for the game, but I guess maybe expectations is just something that like I just don't really do anymore, especially after the 22 launch and how horrifically bad it really was.
Yeah, and I got to experience that a little bit. I started out, I was still on what do you call it, old gen, current gen for like the vast majority of Madden 22. So you can imagine how miserable my experience was with 22. And then I switched over, May to next gen. So I got to experience what you guys were experiencing back in, September and August. And yeah, it is definitely not super polished. I didn't play any of the beta. I feel like, there's no point in playing the beta. We're all going to get kind of, they'll make tweaks and whatnot. But like from a content perspective then, like do you think that 23 is going to be a good year for you creating content? Do you think it really matters if it's a good game or a bad game to make good YouTube content for it?
No, not necessarily. I mean, I think it'll always help if it is a good game. And I played the beta, and I genuinely enjoyed the beta. I thought it was smoother. I thought it worked. I thought when I expected something to happen in the game, like I'm like, oh, this equals this. It actually did do that, which I think is always a good sign for that kind of game. You know, they have the sim mode or type that you can play where it's a little bit more random, and that's cool and everything. But I do have like I do think it has a lot of potential, and it always helps when the game is good, because then if more people are playing it, more people are going to want to watch it. But the fate of Madden, and this is one of the reasons I stopped making daily content and stopped making content-based content, if that makes sense. Like what card did EA put in the game? Like the reason I stopped doing that is because I couldn't rely on EA Sports for my income or for my happiness. Like if the game was so broken, I have to find ways to play it where I can still enjoy it, and make different content around that. And if you're like waiting for the next cards to drop, and that's the only thing that your content relies around, then you're putting your fate in EA Sports' hands, which I don't think is probably the best decision to make. And it like just led to a lot of stress and anxiety. So the game doesn't have to be perfect to make great YouTube videos and have people really enjoy your YouTube videos. But of course it would help. Like, if it's a great game and everyone's hyped about it and it actually turns out to be what people hope and want it to be, then that'd be great. I would love that. And I would also enjoy playing it, just playing it more.
Absolutely. And you know, it's like you said, like there's never going to be a perfect game of Madden, but I think there have definitely been years where, the pro community and like the MCS type guys have said it's a bit more skill gap. I think a game with a skill gap is kind of what most people are looking for, where guys who are elite are able to do things and know what's going to happen against certain coverages. The random number generated is what kind of gets people upset when it seems like completely just pulled out of a hat what's going to happen on any given play, and that gets frustrating for sure. Whereas the casuals, they're not going to notice too much either way, whether it's a good game or a bad game anyways. So,
and who's my audience?
Yeah, exactly. The casuals,
so like,
right? Like, so there you go.
So like you don't hear me talking about, and I used to do this, but like you don't hear me talking about like specific defenses or like the meta or like all that stuff in my videos, or like specific ability. Like I cut out all ability talk. Ability is not. It's a very important thing to the game, especially for like the 1% of players that play Madden consistently and play it year round. But the 99% that hop on Madden like once a week for like a random game with their friends, they could not care less about abilities on cards, and that was very evident to me in my analytics. And so I just looked at that and I'm like, okay, every time I talk about any sort of ability or X factor or whatever it is, like people click off. They don't care. And so like that's like a perfect little nugget, right? Like right there of how to look at something like that. Like anytime I mentioned a stats on a card, like unless it's like, a 99, the first 99 speed player in the game, blah, blah, blah. Like my audience specifically, they don't care about stats on the card. They click off. So I stopped doing that. I stopped showing that. I stopped talking about 99 speed, that kind of thing. Because people just don't care. They see Ultimate Team as like a chance to build a team around their players that they like, not around the stats that they want. Sure. And obviously the competitive guys play an entirely different game in that sense. It's all about the stats. It's all about the scheme. But that's like the 1% of people versus the 99% there.
And as you're kind of explaining, your thought process, like with what you're cutting out of videos and what you're, skipping over, it's making a whole lot of sense to me now. Like, because I think about it, doing the same format of video like week to week, or doing the same kind of format, it's easier that way. You get used to it. You create a new style of video, you do it once, you repeat it a few different times with different teams, and it gets quicker each time to edit and do all that. So I can see the appeal in having that stability and that sameness, but at the same time it gets stale, and a lot of people are not looking at that bar where the viewer drop off is, like myself included. I'm sure the drop off bar, it plummets at some point, and I've never bothered to really look into it too much, even after reading the YouTube formula. So I appreciate you sharing that. Like I'm already getting like a little mental checklist of stuff that I want to tinker with now the next time I hop on and make a video. But
and I mean, and that doesn't like if I think if Throne were to cut stats out of his videos, that would hurt his retention, right? Because his audience, they're competitive players. They are the people who care a lot like that. So that's not me saying like to anyone who's watching this, like, hey, cut out all stats of any card in your videos because no one wants to watch that. That's like, hey, look at your analytics, your retention graph, and like, hey, does like 50% of people click off when you do that? Maybe might be a good idea to stop doing that thing, like, so everyone's audience is different, who they're targeting is different. And it's just like all about making that kind of revelation based on how you can analyze that behavior of like what's making people go away.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the next thing that I want to kind of ask you about, so I think I saw, maybe it was your pin tweet, short-term goals, long-term goals that you have for your channel. I think I saw a number for YouTube that you're looking to hit by 2023. Well, what goals do you have set for yourself this coming year?
Yeah, so I do want to hit 100K because I want the plaque. But subscribers are very like, it's a very irrelevant number nowadays. People don't watch videos from their subscriptions. They watch videos from what is recommended on their home screen, which is going to get recommended whether they're subscribed or not. So like that 100K is literally just because I want the YouTube plaque. Like I think I would literally cry holding it whenever I get it that day, because it's been so long that I've been working so hard for that.
For sure.
But my long-term goal is to be the biggest gamer in the Madden niche, biggest YouTuber in the Madden niche. Like I don't see any reason why I can't get there. And it didn't used to be that. I think when I first started and when I first set goals, because setting goals is so important, I just wanted to make like a feasible income and do something that I love. And maybe it's like this addiction of it, but like I see no reason why I can't grow to be the biggest Madden YouTuber in the world. So that is definitely my long-term goal. And it's not about the money or the attention or anything like that. I just know that I have that in me. And at this point, like I'm not going to stop until that happens. And so it's not a subscriber count. It's not a view count. It's, do people talk about your videos? Like, like when Mr. Beast released a video, everyone talks about it. Like it's a thing. Like it is an event on Twitter. People make other YouTube videos about his YouTube video, like because his stuff is so good, man. It's so next level. It's so innovative. It's so different. And
he's got a burger chain in Toronto now too. Like this guy has expanded beyond YouTube. He's got a freaking burger franchise now, Mr. Beast.
Oh yeah, Mr. Beast Burger is actually pretty fire. I don't know if you've ever gotten it.
I haven't tried it yet. I will though. I will. Yeah.
But like that's the kind of impact that I want to be able to have. And I think you can do that, getting to that point. But like putting things out that like when that God Squad video, the one with this red and green background started to blow up, like I was getting DMs from people that I have like just the utmost respect and admiration for. They're like, hey, this was a pretty cool idea. And it came from inspiration from others. It's not like I just pulled it out of thin air. You know, everyone takes inspiration from everyone else. And there's nothing truly quote unquote original in the world, in the history of mankind. There's nothing truly original. I firmly believe that. But like I did it my way. And I spent so much time crafting a narrative and focusing on like, what's this part going to make someone feel, you know, when this, and like, how does this music really impact the emotion that is driven from this? And like, it's a video game. Like we're having fun and everything, but I also want to make really, really good freaking videos. And I want to make people feel something when they watch it. And if I can do that and I can have that impact, then I know my channel will keep growing and I can get to that kind of long-term goal point. But the 100K by the end of this year, I think is very, very doable. And I just really, really want that plaque.
Yeah, I think you'll be getting it. I think, you know, just judging from, and I'm not a stats guru by any chance here, but, you know, I've had, you know, some other big YouTubers on here, and you know, the viewers don't match the sub count. Like you said, like not everybody's going to watch it. They might have 100,000, you know, subscribers, but they might get 20,000 views on a video. Whereas I'm looking at you and you're around 45, 50,000 subscribers, but you're getting 700,000 views on there. I mean, that is kind of like that's a crazy number. That's an insane number. It's a lot of human beings.
Just subscribe. I could pass RBT in 2 days,
bro. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I'm
like,
just kidding. I love you, Sam.
I'm like, you know, I rarely, you know, I watch a lot of. I do watch a lot of subscribe videos, like, you know, friends that I know. I'll watch their videos because I know I like their style, you know, whether I watch their stream. But, you know, I feel like if I watch a good video that I really enjoy, why would I not click the subscribe button on it? You know, it seems kind of crazy that you might have 700,000 people and it's like, well, what do you, only 1,000 people click the button on that one? It seems crazy, but I mean, you're on that trajectory now where I feel like that biggest Madden YouTuber, I feel like I got you on here at a good time, because I feel like if I were to put out a DM in a year, you might be super busy, you know, with a humongous subscriber count and all kinds of people.
Madden's not like that, man. This community is truly not like that. No one is too big in this community. Like, and that's what I love about it so much. I already told you about like when I had like a 10 subscriber channel, reaching out to Zerk and CC and all them. Like, people just aren't like that, and I have so much respect for that, because it's just so easy to be, for lack of better terms, to be a dickhead in this space, and just like the people in this community aren't, and I love it so much. There's so much of a communal aspect to Madden that in Call of Duty, like you made the kind of the Nick Merckx joke, and to his credit, I'm sure he is ungodly busy with with all the stuff that he has going on, the sponsorships, everything. But at the same time, like Call of Duty people, especially when I was making those videos, they were not that approachable. It was like you couldn't get in contact with them in any way, shape, or form. It's not like that in Madden. I don't think it ever will be.
Yeah, 100%. And I don't know, who knows? Maybe it's because Madden people, it's like a little throwback. Like people really like Twitter. Like Madden guys don't like Instagram; they like Twitter. I don't know. Like it seems like they use these more dated kind of platforms, and I don't know. It's just nice to be able to have everybody be so accessible and welcoming for sure. But you know, I gotta say, like, this was definitely one of the interviews that I was really looking forward to do. And I said this, I don't know if you heard it at the beginning because I had you muted at the time, but you know, I really do think that you are like every YouTuber's favorite YouTuber right now, because like I've had guys like Up and Adam Gaming raves about like with the stuff that you're doing, like guys like CJ I know like definitely taking a huge interest in what you're doing, like everybody, you know, Luch, another friend of mine, like I just hear your name kind of ringing out in the community and generating that buzz that, you know, like you said, if you want to get to that #1 pedestal, there needs to be that kind of word of mouth, that kind of like energy that's just kind of simmering there, where, you know, YouTube comes up and Madden comes up and your name is right there. And I think it already is in the conversation right now, man. So it's really been like a pleasure to kind of sit down and get to know you a little bit, and, you know, get to see what's next for you as far as your vision goes. And it's nice to see that your vision goes about as high as you could possibly go. That's a refreshing take. You know, #1 is no small feat, that's for sure.
Well, I'm very humbled and appreciative, especially because like I talk with Adam, I talk with CJ, I talk with a lot of these guys a lot. But even just hearing that, you know, they said nice things when I'm not in the room or when I'm not in the chat, like that just means a lot. I look at these guys as really good friends.
Yeah.
And so hearing you say that, hearing that they've been saying nice things like that, that just means the world to me. So first of all, like thank you to you, and also thank you to them. I don't know if they're listening to this or hear.
I'll make them. I'll drop them the link. I'll make them watch the YouTube
video. But yeah, man, like why settle for anything less than the best at this point? Like I'm just gonna keep going and just keep improving with every single video that I make. Like every single video is gonna be my best video, and it's almost like conditioning people. Like, oh, KINNY uploaded, like this one's gonna bang, because there's gonna be no misses. So, yeah, I'm just gonna keep on grinding, keep on kind of doing my thing here.